you done now?
Another door.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clue the Movie Podcast, where we break down the 1985 cult class movie clip 1 minute at a time. My name is Brad Gilmore, joined as always by the General Jeff Smith, the Doctor of Style. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm still the Doctor of Style.
Yes, you're always the Doctor of Style.
Catch the Jive Soul Bro reference from last time? Probably not.
Probably not, but you know what? One person probably did, and he's actually joining us, returning to Clue the Movie Podcast, a special guest for sure. Laker Jim of Laker Jim's Fletchcast, welcome back to the show.
Brad, Jeff, thanks for having me.
Look, we're so excited to have you on because last time was great. We've also seen Bill Henderson, which I know that you love you some Bill Henderson.
Yeah, Sammy.
And now he's dead.
But now he's dead.
Well, in real life, but also in the movie, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. And he never got to sing. He never got to sing for us either.
Never got to sing for us. The great jazz musician. Now,
poor Sammy.
You have a theory somewhat that you wanted to run by us that we're going to get into, right? And that's a tease. That's a tease.
I do.
But I wanted to update the Cluvians on something. So for a couple of, I don't know when the last time we did, we've brought up my neighbors on the show a couple of times, right? And how how I'd gone to dinner with them and discovered
Dark Helmet, and the cat.
And the cat, yes. And discovered not only are they from Chicago, so they're big John Hughes people. My mother's maiden name is Hughes. There's a connection. But they, we got into the conversation about what's your favorite movies of all time. Their first one was Back to the Future. First thing out of both of their mouths. They've never seen Clue the movie, which is also kind of disgraceful, but it's okay because they have an opportunity to experience it for the first time. It's incredible. So anyway, after our dinner conversation, I went and dropped a couple Back to the Future related items off at their front door, like a nice little surprise, like a Hill Valley cookbook, a Back to the Future board game that I had that I thought would be nice. So me and the missus, we go out to dinner last night with my folks and my nephews. And we have a little family soiree, Italian style. Everyone ordered pizza, but different pizzas, so it made it a little complicated for the waitress. My apologies. Okay, but we get home, and I'm in the kitchen. My wife and I are talking, and then a couple seconds later, I look by the door, and I notice there's a blue bag at the door. This wasn't here when we just got home 5 minutes prior. So I'm thinking, what's going on? Grab the blue bag, have no idea what it is, but there is a note attached to it. And this is the note, right? I'm going to read the note first. Okay, this is great. And Laker Jim, you're going to appreciate this just as much as probably I did. It says, "Dear Gilmores," that's me and my wife. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the gifts. Great Scott, they were heavy. We appreciate your gifts that you could have sold for a matter of $80. Inside are some gifts for you. The daughter crocheted the dolls, and the son made the game. We hope you enjoy the gifts. We think it was our our destiny to be neighbors. Signed, my neighbors. And then on the back side, there's an additional note in parentheses. It said, "I never knew I could write anything so touching." Right? Beautiful card. And then, though, these are the crocheted dolls that were in there. Look at this.
Wow.
These are handmade crocheted dolls. Marty and Doc. Doc with beautiful flowing hair. Yes, it is Back to the Future 2.
Yeah.
And this is what I love so much about the neighbor's daughter. A few things, but it's the details. So we see Marty. You can take the jacket off, which is the auto-sizing jacket, but when you start to reveal it, look, the pockets are inside out, just the way that they wear them in
Love
2015.
it.
Just like we did in 2015.
Are these not incredible? I don't know how to crochet. I don't even know
Those
where you
are-
begin.
I don't know. Those are amazing. They like Funko Pop, but better.
They're Funko Pop style, but they have flowing hair
Yeah.
and jackets that are removable, by the way. You can take
That's
the jacket
amazing.
off. I mean,
Size adjusting fit.
this is incredible. So I want to shout out the neighbors for a lovely note and a lovely gift. And I know we've talked about them a few times on the podcast, so I wanted to do it. So anyhow, that's what we're doing up top. But Laker Jim, we just saw minute 67, and there's some stuff to talk about in minute 67. But Laker Jim had something about the singing telegram girl that you wanted to throw at the Cluvians.
Yeah. Well, let me just say to start, I'm glad I have the right minute this time around, because last time I didn't realize we were a minute off. So I prepared for a completely different minute. And then the revelation came that, Brad, you were off a minute in doing these things. So at least I have the right minute this week. But yes, so listen, I was listening to the podcast like I do every week. Love it. And when the Cluvian called and she had mentioned Yvette saying it's you, meaning like it's you, the killer, I thought to myself, man, I love looking at things from a different point of view. And that's what we do on Fletchcast all the time. We try to think outside the box and look at from a different point of view. We did a whole week on the Underhills. Every day we did 7 days of Underhills. And in one of the episodes, we looked at him as the tragic figure, the one who, everybody's taking advantage of him, so it made me think about the singing telegram girl. And we had talked on the show about what's the most heinous crime of all these people, right? And Brad, I think for a while you were kind of little going with the plum crime.
Yes.
So listen, the plum crime can be looked at from many angles, from a level of heinousness of 0 to 100, right?
Right.
But I was thinking, what if, and everybody sort of had an accomplice like with their crime, right? So what if the singing telegram girl was showing up at the house to shoot Plum? What if she was showing up there as a ruse of a singing telegram girl, and she was going to pull the gun on Plum to kill him? Like, she knew he was going to be there. She knew this thing was going down, and they killed her before she was able to kill Plum. Because if you kind of look, when she dies, she has something in her hand. And I've looked at it many times and I can't figure out what's in her hand. And I don't think it's in her hand when she's dancing. And I know it's kind of dark and hard to see, but when they show her dead on the ground, she's holding something in her hand. That's very obvious. It's just not obvious what it is. Now, then I started thinking, but in the real ending, Wadsworth kills her, right? Mm-hmm. It's not Plum that kills her first. But anyway, it was just a thought of like, maybe all the people that show up at the house are there to also somewhat dispose of the person they're involved with the blackmail of. And that they're just killed before they can kill the person in the house, or so to speak.
I like where you're going with this. So you're saying, okay, so let's play with this a little bit. So
because there's no way all those people show up by chance that are all happen to be connected with these people. So they are being brought there for a reason. They have to be. They have to have an ulterior motive for showing up at that house. And it just comes off to the people inside the house as coincidence. But in reality, they all are connected to this union of discovery.
Well, I think I love where this is going, because I mean, this is what we do on the show. We like to really dig into the minutia and try to figure out what's going on. Jeff, I want you to take first swing. What do you think about one, singing telegram being there to kill Professor Plum, and then the follow-up theory, everyone's there to take someone out? And I think we could probably easily figure out who was there for who, for whom.
What I like, here's my thought now. I think motorist, yes, was supposed to be there to be offed. Cop, we talked at great length last week about how he's just a tragic fool. Singing Telegram Girl, what if, going with Laker Jim's thing here, what if she wasn't invited at all? Going with what you said, that she found out about it, she shows up to shoot. And if you go with ending 3 with Wadsworth, he sees her and goes, nope, not part of the plan. Boom, out. Because she doesn't get 1 second to even explain herself. It's like he recognizes her. And actually, in every ending, they say recognizes her from the photo. But now she's in the way, and the cops are coming. We don't have time for this now. So her little plan for revenge on Plum, gone out. So I like it. I think she might not be so smart either. There's a lot of bad planning.
And I just had a merch idea, and you guys can have this. You can run with it. Throw me a few bucks down the line. Wadsworth shot first.
Oh, there you go.
Ah, yes.
Like
playing off Han.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. You know, now the other thing, Laker Jim, because I think you like us. Well, first off, before I say that, Singing Telegram Girl there to kill Professor Plum. Okay. Now let's see. Bill Henderson. Cop Bill. Officer Bill. Is he there to kill whom? Would it be Miss Scarlet?
Well, I don't think he's heading there on his own, but I do think he was tipped off to show up at the house or to show up at the car. Hey, there's a car broken down. Go check it out. And they knew that the pieces would fall in line for him to show up at the house and be there in order. I feel like this was very, well planned for everybody to show up in order as they showed up and how they were killed in the house. So, at the end, with the ending of Wadsworth being Mr. Body, it was very well calculated plan.
So do we
get everybody eliminated, because he technically would have had everybody in the house killed if it all worked out, and everybody that showed up as a guest sort of taken out.
Now, who do we think killed Yvette in this theory?
Well, I guess we still got to go with Mrs. White, right? I mean, I guess we still got to stick with her.
Because she's the only one that kind of makes
2 out of 3. They literally show that it's Scarlet in the first one, and they show Mrs. White. So unless the flashbacks are lying, which is a cheap thing to do, the only person we don't see strangle anybody, because her ending for whatever reason is pretty weak on the flashbacks, is Peacock.
Yeah, that's a quick one. They don't give us too much.
I just love this idea.
Hers is kind of like in and out.
Now, let me ask you this, Jim, about what our revelation was last week of finding out about this security mannequin. You brought it up quickly. We rolled.
Yeah. My mind was blown.
So what did you think? Walk me through it.
Well, number one, I am the fact that you were able to quickly thumb through the script and find the beginning to the mannequin showing up I don't even believe that happened, because I thought that had to have been cut. You go back and look, but you tell me, no, you found it in real time, which was absolutely amazing. Listen, it kind of makes sense. I could see it. It doesn't add anything to the plot, but I can picture it. I can picture it being in the movie. It seems like an 80s thing to do, have a mannequin be revealed.
Well,
especially if the mannequin was played by Kim Cattrall.
Yes,
and Andrew McCarthy brought her to life. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Yeah,
that is very 80s. Now, we did this thing on the Back to the Future podcast where we would do good cut, bad cut. Like, was this a good thing they cut from the movie, or was it a bad cut and could have added more to it? Do you think that this is a question for both of you, Jeff? I'll start with you though. Do you think that them cutting out the other bits of Singing Telegram Girl was a good cut, or was it a bad cut?
I think it's a very good cut, because it makes her appearance, the briefer it is, the funnier it is, that she just shows up and, like, out of nowhere, not explained. She literally says who she is in her song, and that's it. And now she's dead.
Right.
Do you agree, Jim?
So I think it's funnier that way. No build up at all.
Yeah, and I guess the dogs being in the place of the security guard, I guess, was maybe a better way to go.
Would Mr. Body be afraid of a security guard outside? I don't think so. I think the dogs were definitely scarier, especially one that's not moving. It is. I have trouble picturing it, and I think I'm so curious if they actually filmed it. because I don't think it got past the script part. I thought they eventually realized they could do better than that, especially knowing that in the fourth ending, the unused fourth ending, the dogs came into play a lot more. Right. I think they're the police dogs and not the actual dogs there, but dogs in general come into play, and mannequins. Well, maybe a mannequin would have come to life at the end, and they would have had a montage with G.W. Bailey from Police Academy as the real security guard, chasing him around with his dog Rambo. Hollywood. Oh man, I haven't seen Mannequin in a while. I should know.
Now, okay, so I love this singing telegram thing. I think that, you know what? Like, if we do go with that theory of, because we know what Professor Plum did. I mean, it's pretty much admitted in the movie. So knowing what he did, you have to know, if you, different from Mrs. White, okay, who did kill somebody. We're at least pretty sure she killed maybe several people, but at least one.
Several people.
We know that there's no one coming for retribution on her for that specific crime. Now, she's being blackmailed for it, but no retribution. For Professor Plum, if you're taking advantage of one of your female patients, we know that she's still living, and then we find out to be singing Telegram Girl. I like where, the pathos of this character, their ethos, right? What the singing Telegram Girl is thinking, because she's like, I'm about revenge. Like, this is my moment. This is what I'm going to do.
Or what it could be is like, an obsessed person who is obsessed with him. And he, he tried to cut off the relationship because it was inappropriate. And she was obsessed with continuing it based on probably the lies he told her or the promises he made to her. And she just couldn't take not being with him anymore. And she was going to wipe him off.
Now, do you think
she couldn't go?
She couldn't go.
Do you think, okay, let's think about this, because I'm trying to remember the exact dialogue, because Wadsworth reveals Plum's crime, right? You know that thing you're not supposed to do with female patients? He did, right? Now, does Professor Plum, though, own up to that? Or do we just go on?
He does with the singing Telegram Girl.
Patient. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying, but that's later.
I had an affair with her.
Yeah.
Oh, before that?
That's later.
No, that's it. He doesn't. I mean, his actions certainly speak louder than words. He's pervy, but he doesn't actually say he's done it until she shows up. I'm picturing, and this ties into Bill Henderson, the cop, also in Fletch, also in a movie called City Slickers, when a young Gilmore Smith, the voice of Lisa Simpson, shows up at Billy Crystal's birthday party and confesses that she's been having an affair with Daniel Stern. She's the young checkout girl at the supermarket, and she's pregnant or late. And a young Jake Gyllenhaal is there as Billy Crystal's son. Anything else you want to know about City Slickers?
Well, you just made me think of something else. He's in family planning. So if she was patient with family, involved with family planning, is she his patient because she's trying to get pregnant? Or
I would say the opposite.
Not trying to get pregnant.
Trying to, let's tiptoe around that one. But we know what we're talking about.
Or do you think, okay, is this possible though? Like almost, could she be, has gotten obsessed as Laker Jim said? There's an obsession built. Plum is like, hey, look, time out, okay? Time out. And then it almost kind of basic instincts to where she's like on the prowl, ready to, ready to do the job. Because it is interesting. I'm trying to find the thing in her hand and what that could potentially
take a look
be.
at that. See if you can find it. When she's laying dead on the ground, they show something in her hand.
I'm trying to find it.
And Brad, while you're looking for that, can you recreate the scene of Professor Plum saying "time out" as Christopher Lloyd, please?
Okay, well, hold on. She just got shot. I'm looking at this. Time out. I can't do it today.
Yes, you can.
Let's see. You know what? There's one thing we actually didn't talk about in that minute that I need to say something about. Where do we see her lying dead? This wasn't in the previous minute when she gets shot, right?
No, it's the next minute. So they're in the very dialogue-free minute we just listened to, they're finding the dead bodies. They find Yvette, they find the cop, and then they're going to comment how they heard a gunshot. And then they open the door, and that's where they find Jane Whelan of the Go-Go's.
Oh, right. They're coming down the stairs.
We're about to find that out. Now, in the last minute, there's one thing we didn't bring up. The what is it called? The Pop Goes the Weasel thing. What are those things called?
Jack in the Box.
Jack in a Box, yes. The Jack in a Box goes off for Mrs. White, right? Whenever the lights go out and scares her. Well, how? How does this happen? Somebody has to wind that up, right? Somebody has to wind that up.
Yeah, maybe it was triggered. Like somebody got nervous right before they did it, or set it up like
Pop goes the weasel.
This is gonna get somebody. Pop goes the weasel because the weasel goes pop.
Well, thank you for the third base reference. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I can always count on you for a nice 80s hip hop.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's my jam.
I don't get. Okay, I'm trying to find it, but I don't get it. Go ahead, Jim.
And I think what this minute also.
Oh, we got a frozen Jim here for a moment.
Frozen Jim. He turned back into a mannequin.
He's the security guard.
Oh no, the curse.
He's the security guard. That's what happened. You talk about the security guard and see if we can remove him, bring him back. We'll wait for Laker Jim to rejoin us because our show famously doesn't do edits. So we're gonna
we do not edit.
We're gonna wait.
We will not edit.
We're gonna wait. You know what? I'm gonna kick Jim.
Wait with us, Clivians.
I'm gonna kick Jim from the studio, and then he'll have to rejoin us here momentarily.
Do you have the script open for this scene?
I do.
I know it's not a lot of dialogue, but do we have anything unusual?
Well, we have the "I am your singing telegram." Now let me pick it up from there.
Is this the version? Remember when John Hatch was on? He said in an earlier version of Clue script, when there was more profanity, this is the scene where Wadsworth said something filthy about opening the wrong door and ended up in the shower.
Okay, let's see. The young woman. But Jim, you were about to say something.
I was going to say, I always wondered, was this Wadsworth's house? And I think the scene where he doesn't know where he is, he turns the shower on instead of a door, kind of proves that he's not familiar with this house. It's not his house.
Yeah. I could have written one of those.
Then again, I get lost in my own house.
Like,
so
yeah. I never
that's because you live in a mansion.
Accident, but yeah, there's rooms you haven't even been to.
Okay, so I agree with that point. So in this minute that was very quiet, minute 67 is where we are now. We see Wadsworth looking for a handle to open the next door, and he turns the shower on. Which, you know what? I love that. Like, there's certain things in comedy that you just have to do, and the fact that he just stands there and sells it. Like, he doesn't he just takes it. You know what I mean? Like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a long night.
I guess this is where
but
we are.
I love the Foley work as he runs down the stairs and you hear his shoes squeak, squeak, squeak from being soaking wet.
Yeah, I noticed that.
He stood in there for a while.
I noticed that. And then he turns the lights on. Now, Jeff was asking real quick, Jim, before you froze there for a moment, Jeff was asking about the original script and what happens in it, because there are John Hatch told us something about some profanity, right? That was cut from the script. So let's see here. This is he jerks the handle and goes through the door. Immediately he hits a wall. Wadsworth, what's this? A cupboard? He finds another handle. Another handle? He turns it and water cascades over him. Wadsworth shouting, "Oh, hell! Oh, shit! I'm in the shower!" He stumbles out through the bathroom door, finds the bedroom, and now with the help of moonlight in the main hall. And then he hurries down the stairs, dripping wet, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, he does. He screams some obscenity.
I way prefer him, just like you were saying, just standing there and accepting just another terrible moment. Like, all the murder, and now I'm wet.
In a suit,
and just in a lovely tuxedo, and just but I think, you know what? He figures it all out right there in the shower. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Because where do you get all your best ideas?
In the shower.
Shower, right? Everybody.
Shower.
So it's not long after that moment in the shower, he says, "Very well, I know who did it. I think he figured it out while he was in the shower. It's the best mistake he ever made all night. If he hadn't gone in that shower, no mystery solved."
Agree.
So let's go back though on Jim's comment about it not being his house, because I think this has been a lot of debate between us, because again, in the ending that is the official ending, he is Mr. Body. And so I guess we are to believe this isn't Mr. Body's home at all, right? This is we've talked about this a lot. This is a friend's house. This is maybe a place where he's holding a dinner party of some kind. I mean, where do you stand on this, Laker Jim?
Yeah, well, it was something I always wondered, but I think the shower scene for me is what makes it seem like it's not his house. He's not familiar with it, as familiar with every nook and cranny of the house.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to have to be the case. It's got to be, if he is the real Mr. Body, then this needs to be some sort of, false flag house. This isn't like the Body Manor. This is a setup. It's all a setup. Which is why too.
It would also
wait. Hold on. This makes sense, because if his blackmail ring was familiar, I'm sure. Like, look, how are they sending blackmail? Right? How are they sending it? Like, if they're paying him off, where are they sending the checks? Where are they going? They got to be going somewhere.
Sometimes underneath men's room bathroom stalls.
Is that what we think? I mean, are they not putting them in them? I don't know. I'm trying to actually figure this out.
Peacock does.
Are we not putting them like in the mail? Are we not dropping them off at a location? How are they having correspondence? Where's the return address? Right? There's got to be something and to me, there's got to have been some address that would have, it can't be this house is what I'm saying. They could never, no correspondence.
Who could be
this house.
Who could be picking it up? Motorist. He's got a car. He could be like the bad guy driving around.
True.
Now, Laker Jim.
Yeah.
What did you think about, because it's been a minute since we have you on the show. So let's talk motorist and cop for just a second, because not a lot happens in this minute. They walk around. There is a great shot though of all of them like meandering into the hall, looking defeated, and then seeing a vet and being like, "Oh well, whatever." But let's talk motorist and cop for a moment.
Okay.
We kind of did some digging and some pontificating and figured out that we believe the motorist was married. He was calling his wife on the phone.
Right.
But let's really break down though. Why was his car broken down? Like, where do you think he was actually going? What do you think was going on?
Not to mention his car is like elevated on top of like a rock or something.
Yeah.
Like the front of his car is 4 feet off the ground. So I mean, it didn't just break down. He kind of crashed, you know what I mean? I would assume, and jumped the car onto something.
Was that intentional?
I was going to say, could that have been a little road trap that was left by Wadsworth / Mr. Body for the motorist to break down, for the motorist's car to fly up into the air and land on top of a rock pile?
Rock.
Because it seriously is like off the ground when they show that shot under the tires. Like, so yeah, I feel like that trap was set for the motorist to crash.
Or do we think the motorist was in cahoots, as typically motorists tend to be, and he placed this on a rock? Motorists, they're known criminals, but he got this.
Motorists.
He got this up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He did,
to set the trap for the cop.
It's almost too perfect.
It was really and he had no visible injuries. There was no cracking of anything. That we didn't see a dented fender, did we? I don't think so.
No,
we don't really see the car. We just see the wheel when Officer Bill goes searching. Yeah, no, the motorist looks fine. In fact, he does a very physical big dip. That would
you guys named him.
Yeah, Officer Valentine.
Valentine. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I don't know about the motorist and cop do confuse me. They do. Now, who do you think Laker Jim? Who do you think the cop was trying to call repeatedly?
I I know you guys mentioned that he might be calling his wife as well.
Might be calling his wife. Might be calling for backup. We're not sure.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough kind of the way he's speaking. It's kind of hard to tell who he's talking to. I'm going to say, I think he's calling for backup. I think he's calling for backup.
It's possible.
That's what yeah.
The cop, because we kind of went on the train of, he's trying to, get back into the good graces of the force. He's been on traffic duty. Mm-hmm. It's not going well for him. And then he bites off more than he can chew, right? Wait a minute. This is not the situation that I thought that it was. I need more help because I'm in a house of at least 6 people who's murdering people.
Yeah, he definitely was in over his head, and he knew it. Yeah, I think he was calling for but backup, I guess, never came, or maybe it did come. Or
is that this is where we get murky, because honestly, the cops that were called by Wadsworth should have been here by now. They should have been here by now. There's no way, because he calls them when?
45 minutes. It takes 45 minutes to get out there.
They should have been there by now. Because, he's calling for him within 15 minutes of this movie, right?
Yeah. And so
we don't actually see when he calls. He just says, the police are coming. Mm-hmm. But we never see him say, I'll be right with you in a moment. I'm calling the police. He's got them set like when you want food delivered, like, do you want it ASAP or do you want it in an hour and a half? And he set it for an hour and a half.
Yeah, but it's kind of coming early.
Or maybe he's saying the police are coming because he knows exactly what time Officer Bill will be arriving. Because the whole thing has been planned out. So he knows that the cop is arriving at that time. And because the cops at the end, they are coming separate from anyone calling them, because the chief is just waiting for the right moment to bust this house wide open.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's my theory on top of Jim's theory. If the singing telegram girl is not a part of the plan, she shows up on her own, gets shot. Notice the chief steps in very soon after that.
Yeah, right.
So maybe he's like, whoa.
Civilians are going down.
I need to, now I have to step in. I'll still do my little repent thing, but it's not long after that he rolls it. So him showing up is kind of like, because do you think they're collecting, the whole reason they're waiting their hour and a half is to collect more evidence and get more confessions and get them all to really make it easy to commit all these terrible people. They, after a while in being in this panic mode, they confess basically. So they're waiting it out. Singing telegram girl shows up, messes things up. He shows up, and since the phones are kind of wonky, him showing up is kind of a signal to Wadsworth. You've got 10 minutes. Start telling them what you know and see who says they did it. And so they take off. Wadsworth does his spiel. He gets people to say, true. Who are you? Perry Mason. And everyone's confessing that they did it. And then the cops show up after that. And that they have the option to tape record everything. So there's probably more than one mic in that house as well.
I would say so. No, I think that theory is dead on. Great.
Now,
dead on.
I just want to say this now so I don't forget it. She does say, who are you? What did she say? She calls him Perry Mason?
Perry Mason.
Yeah.
She can't be talking about the television show, though, right?
What year is Perry Mason? Look it up.
Wasn't it like late 50s?
Google it.
Early 60s? Perry Mason?
No. There's been a lot of Perry Mason.
Well, I'm talking about the what's his name?
Yeah.
The guy who plays Perry Mason.
Raymond Burr. Raymond Burr played him for a long time.
Okay. Perry Mason aired on CBS, the Central Broadcasting System, from September 21st, 1957 to May 22nd, 1966.
So where did he come from before that? Is he based on something?
Is this a character? Let's look. I'm going to try to figure this out. It has to be, right? Because why else would they say
that would
Perry
be a
Mason?
huge blunder.
That would be big, man. A couple years off. Let's see.
And
Perry
we
Mason,
would have heard
fictional
that by
character.
now.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Oh,
it's not looking good.
Comments.
Here we go.
Oh my God.
Here we go.
Okay.
We're good. We're fine. The case of the Velvet Claws was the first story featuring the character Perry Mason, published in the American Magazine in 1933.
Okay. Phew.
Scarlett's a reader. She reads. She doesn't want to just watch TV. Good for her.
I don't know.
The smart one there. So that's cool. She's reading mysteries.
Thinking ahead here. Thinking ahead. Now,
that's right.
From this minute, is there anything else that we deem significant? The way Yvette is draped on the billiard table has always been interesting to me. It's almost as if she was perfectly placed because she walks. Staged. Well, think about this. She walks to the back of the billiard room, right? To the back of it, where she sees it's you. Boom. The strangling starts right there. Right now, wouldn't theoretically she be on the furthest end of the table? Not closer in?
I guess it depends on her struggle. She's a fighter, especially if she was fighting off Mrs. Peacock. I think Yvette could have taken her.
I don't know, but she's all the way at the end of the billiard table. I feel like she should be closer up to frame.
No, they put her there, and it's a lovely shot. Very cinematic.
She's draped over the table perfectly.
She's draped there perfectly. And everybody just wanders in and then wanders out. And then we're about to see in the next minute more of that. So I don't know, Jim, do you have time for another minute?
Sure. Let's do it.
I think, Jeff, I think that we've wrapped this minute up pretty good. Let's go into minute 2 where we see more killers and more dead bodies. Laker Jim Fletchcast. Go subscribe. New episodes on the way, we'll say, that people can hear. Everyone's patiently waiting for the Chevy Chase episode that we know. I saw you on Instagram. You met Chevy. Can we talk about that actually real quick? How was it meeting Chevy?
Sure. It was kind of surreal, to be honest. Chevy is a very difficult person to work with, and we kind of got like tangled in his web, so to speak. And unless you're prepared to get yourself out, you'll get stuck there forever. And so you got to be able to roll with Chevy. You got to be able to like not take his sort of like verbal attacks and insults to heart. You got to just kind of keep going. And because he's very much Chevy Chase in real life, you know what I mean? He's doing a shtick all the time, every day, so you gotta be focused. Otherwise it'll rattle you. It was tough. It was not easy. He made us work for it, for sure.
How long were you with him?
We only had about 15 minutes with him. Mm-hmm. And what made matters a little worse was, even though we had set it up early in the day with him, around like maybe let's say 11 o'clock, by 5 o'clock or 5:30 when we were going to interview him, he forgot he was doing this interview. So he was not the happiest to be sitting down with us after a long day. But, we persevered. We kept going, and we didn't let that rattle us. And, we got a couple nice, really nice gem answers from him. So we're excited for that episode to be coming out soon.
What did it? The whole like meet your heroes thing, right? Like, was it like a weird moment? Like, was it like, oh man, I don't want him? Because like I heard the comic Pete Davidson was invited to Jack Nicholson's house one day, and he turned down the invitation because he said, I can't live in a world where Jack Nicholson doesn't like me. Right. Was there apprehension in that way?
Chevy was very confused as to why somebody would be doing a podcast about Fletch. So he was not at all, honored by that. He was very what do you guys talk about? Like, how do you guys have topics? Like, you seriously do a podcast about Fletch? Like, so, he was a little confused by why would we be doing that. And we were hoping he'd be like, wow, you guys are amazing and this and that. It wasn't that, but it still was pretty cool. I mean, I've met him before, and I had an absolutely amazing day with him at his house one time. And he told stories, and he was great. And everything anyone's ever said about Chevy, it was the opposite that day. And I was just like, wow, I just want to live in infamy of this being the memory of meeting Chevy Chase. But I did get one more. I did get one more meeting. Waters a little bit.
Two sides of Chevy Chase.
There's two sides of Chevy. Well, we'll talk more Chevy maybe in minute 68 of Clue Movie Podcast. Fletchcast, Laker Gems Fletchcast, cluedoc.com, over at Gilmore.com. And we'll be back with minute 68 of the Movie Podcast.